Freedom, strong, confident, powerful, sexy, like I'm flying. These are just some of the words that the ladies are using in our interviews with them and how they feel when they're on their bikes, in the wind, on two wheels, with that power between your legs. My name is Dawn, and I'm your host. Join me while I interview women from all over the world, and they share their adventures with us, their ups, their downs, the friends that are now family, all their stories from these amazing women. I look forward to you joining me and maybe even hearing your story. Reach out to me anytime. If you have a story that you'd like to share, shoot me an email, awomansjourneyontwowheels@gmail.com. So today we have Jocelyn. Jocelyn has been riding for most of her life. She's been around motorcycles her entire life, pretty much, growing up, working on them, riding them. And this is an episode you are definitely not going to want to miss. So our sound isn't perfect in this whole episode. I've kind of changing studios around, and obviously you can hear a little bit of background noise here. But here's the thing. We're showing up. We're not looking for perfection. We're just showing up. So stay tuned. You're going to love this one. We're just going to start from the beginning. First experience with motorcycles, age, what it was, family, friends, what first got you in the motorcycles, yourself and in the world.
I mean, it's like it's hard to remember like the first time, but one of the best memories I have as a kid is my uncle having what people call a pit bike now, for us kids to ride around, and we would just terrorize the neighborhood, run up and down the Pensacola Bay, on it. And we probably were 6, 7, maybe a little older than that, old enough where we could sit on it and our feet touch the ground and not crash into trees and kill ourselves. So, jet skis, you name it, we had it all. But the motorcycles began with an uncle who had a passion for it, a love for it. And, he always said to me, if you're going to ride, you got to know everything about them. So that's how I learned to work on them, ride them. Even to this day, when I talk to him, he still gives me crap, But it started young, and then from there it just went on. And over the years, just grew, and the love of it became more and more, and I got more involved in the community and just everything, really. Got my first cut on my arm from a motorcycle crashing into one of my cousins, so all kinds of stuff can happen to you. Young age,
So you
fun.
basically grew up with the family and stuff. Yeah.
Oh yeah. My aunt was married to him, and so they were big in the biker community, down in Daytona and South Florida and places like that. And they'd come home to Pensacola, and first thing I'd want to do is go for a motorcycle ride, like, let's go, constantly. And it's just grown from there. I've been riding my own for, since I was probably 18, 19 years old. And, it's hard to get me on the back unless I'm forced to. And then I usually hate it. So,
Then you harass them the whole time when you're on the back, right?
Oh man, I'm like, what do you do back here? I have to ask girls that don't ride their own, like, so what do y'all do when you're on the back? And they're like, oh, I Snapchat, I take pictures. And I'm like, so you're absolutely not paying attention to what's going on around you. Cool. No, not me. I'm looking, I'm worried, like, oh God, slow down, speed up, that kind of stuff, this car's too close, it's just a natural reaction, so you just ride,
what was
you
your
work on
first
them.
bike?
Let's see, my first bike was a Honda Rebel, and it was a piece of crap. It didn't have a headlight, tail lights. All it had was a gas tank, frame, motor, and a seat. Brakes didn't work half the time, but you got to learn on something. Dropped it several times, one time couldn't stop and ran it into the back of the car to stop. So, that was great. Slow and steady till you stop. Boom. Okay, we're done. Broke the kickstand off of it. Second ride I had it, so couldn't ever stop anywhere and hang out. Had to, stay on it, keep going till the gas ran out. But
Mhm.
that was it. And then after that, my first Sportster, I think it was like a 94 Evo. Uh, that thing was bad. It was bright yellow, like hazard yellow. I
Mhm.
hated it. I thought it'd be like, oh, everyone will see me. Now I became a target. And so I
Mm.
painted it, drinking wine one night in a barn, just rattle can painted it brown color and just didn't care. Like, I don't care. It's mine. It's paid for. And who cares if anybody likes it or not? And then I've just grown from there, working on them, all different kinds. I mean, my favorite probably is the 1980 Ironhead Sportster. Um, that one I loved, Coolest
Uh-huh.
thing about it was somebody saying, "Oh, you'll never get it to run," after it sat in a backyard for 8 years. And all I did was put a battery in it and clean the carburetor and it cranked right up. So, simple things sometimes. But other than
Nice.
that, it's grown from just being around the town doing community stuff, poker runs, raising money, charities, to drag racing Harleys now in the AMRA, riding cross country by myself, going through 5, 6 states that I've never been to before. Um, it's just getting out and riding. I can't do the around town riding. It's just not
Right.
enough for me. You know, I love if I'm not going and using a full tank of gas in a day, then I really don't want to crank it up and leave. You know,
Yeah.
$20 can get you 300 miles away from where you live, and you can see and experience things, and just the freedom of it, and being able to have your own control over your own happiness. That's the biggest thing for me is, I could be fighting, I could be in the bars tearing up stuff, I could be in and out of jail, be a drug addict, all that kind of stuff. But instead, I choose to get on my bike and put $20 of gas in it and go see new things and just live,
Yeah.
every day.
Yeah. That's for me and everything going on, those long, long trips I miss. I need a long
Yeah.
trip.
Well,
Being around town is nice, but it's just not the same when you can just get on and just go for hours, 300 miles, stop when you want, and
some of the
maybe
best
turn around and go
memories
back.
have been with you ladies riding, doing the
Yeah.
ladies ride in Homosassa was awesome, fun,
That was so much fun.
frustrating, but had a blast,
The fun.
those memories can't be replaced and will forever
Yeah.
be there. And friendships were made for a lifetime, and it was a motorcycle that did it. We all had our own, we all decided, let's go, let's do it. And we did, you know.
We had
It
what,
did,
about 30 of us on that trip?
yeah, I think there was
Yeah.
like 30 of us, and it was great. You had people who'd been riding for years and people who just started riding, so
Yeah.
we had every walk of life and we just had fun. Nowadays it's so hard to find fellow women that want to ride and two will go and take those long trips on a bike. Most of them don't want to go on long trips anymore because they're afraid of accidents and all that. And, it happens, you can get hit in your car just like you can get hit on a bike. And unfortunately, sometimes that's what can make or break you, you know.
Yep.
Now I'm in Charlotte and I work for
Okay.
Harley-Davidson, which is like one of the coolest things in my life. Like I thought that was like awesome that I got a job to work for Harley. Um, Drag racing a 1200 Sportster in the AMRA. get to travel and do that, when I can afford it, because it ain't cheap, you know.
So tell us
And
more about that, about the drag racing. Like, give us some more. Like, how did that get started for you, the drag racing? And then just give us a little more about that. That's pretty cool. That's on my bucket list. You know that.
so my best friend started up a drag race little team out of Calhoun, Georgia. His name is Hot Rod Carlisle, and the team's called Red Eye Racing. And he just invited me one weekend to come up to Calhoun and go down the track and see if I wanted to do it and have fun. And so I jumped on the Kawasaki ZX 1100, and first time down the track, it was just to kind of go down the track, see where everything was, and, you know, feel the bike, how it worked. And then after that, it was grip it and rip it and hold on and stay in your lane pretty much after that, and a
How
couple of
did that
guys
first
that,
trip feel?
man, it was, uh, the adrenaline is what gets you the most, but like the focus at the end of the track is a little different, like you see that light go off and it's just a reaction. Like you're just, you know, I'm not trying to beat the person next to me because I can't really see them. I'm more of trying to get down there as quick as I can. And a lot of times what we do, it's the reaction time. It's the taking off that gets you the win versus who's faster down at the end, but it
Oh,
was, my heart was beating so
yeah.
fast. I was, you know, super excited. The anxiety was a lot. I had to take a couple quick walks around the trailer and stuff like that to calm down. I chugged a couple Red Bulls to calm down. And uh it was great because you had young kids there. There were little girls there that saw me get on that bike and race, and they came over to meet me. And it's just it's something about it that, like, everybody there's family, and they're all there to help you, give you pointers like, hey, I noticed you did this, was there a reason? And like for me, my peripheral vision's bad because of a motorcycle accident. So when I drag race, I see shadows of stuff, and it will cause me to turn my head a little bit, but it's not enough that keeps me from reacting like I should. And it's just from there, it's just grown. Like next thing I know, I was invited to Belrose, Louisiana, and was like, all right, we're going to be racing this weekend. Come on up. We got a Sportster 1200 for you. And I was like, okay. I rode my bike and rode my street glide up there, met the team, and got my pro street racer license during test and tune. And that was pretty cool. It was exciting. It was great to see some of the other females that drag race. They run like Pro Fuel and Top Fuel. They came out to watch me, and um, just
Nice.
it's a big supportive thing. And not many females actually drag race motorcycles. I think in the AMRA there's like four of us, and most of them are Pro Fuel or Top Fuel. So I tell people I'm the commercial between the big guys. I'm the entertainment. And that fits me to a T because I'm always the entertainment. But it's
Yeah.
every time I'm at a track, it's different. My emotions, my anxiety, it all builds up from the adrenaline, the smell of the nitrous and the bikes going. It's just crazy how it changes you. And, I before I race, I walk down the track and like the sun is coming up and everybody's out there getting their bikes ready, and I'm walking alongside the track looking, watching, looking at what the track looks like. And in my head, I'm kind of talking to it and myself and just trying to get myself ready and, you know, try to get that anxiety to just calm down a little bit, calm down, because it's a lot, it's a lot to be there. And, there's a lot going on at the time. And there's sometimes there's 200 bikes racing in the same class as me, and sometimes there's 100, you know, um, and it's
Right.
it's just a constant, like one bike after another, go, 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 so there's no time to be like, all right, pat on the back, good job, go, you got this. It's, you roll up to the line, next thing you know, the light's about to go and you got to go, and
Once it's
it,
your time, it's your time, and it's time to
yeah.
go.
And it's great to have the people who've been doing it longer than me, they're supportive and, just at a girl and, trying to give me little pointers and, ask me how I'm feeling. And I've been lucky enough to been invited to some private drag racing events. Went to Morocco, Indiana for one, drag race in Indianapolis. That one was, you pull up at these big tracks and like my little mind goes, I'm nobody and this is my life. Like this is wow,
Huh.
it's amazing. And then sit in a room or sit at a dinner table with top fuel drag racers that have been doing it for 30 years. And you go, these are my
Yeah,
friends.
sure.
Like, you know, like how did I get here? And how lucky am I to be able to experience this in my life? you know. So it's every time I get to be around them or at the track, I'm just overwhelmed with excitement and gratitude and just honored to be allowed to be a part of it and be accepted mostly, um, and not be like I am in the rest of the world, because I'm a female, being a mechanic, it's hard. And so that's been a struggle my whole life. But when it comes to racing, not a lot of people go, oh, here's another dumb female. They go, shit, here comes this one. She's mean or she's funny or, watch what she'll do, and, they're super, super supportive and it's such a great big family. And, you know, even though people are racing against each other, they still take the time out to tell you, you're doing good or, whatever.
Yes.
If you break something, hey, I got that. Let me get that for you. And they run over to their trailer and they get it for you. It's just great. It can be overwhelming at times, but it's, it's an amazing experience and I'm very fortunate and lucky to get the opportunities every time I'm invited to race. So, I look forward to what the next couple years is going to bring to me in that and see where I go. Am I going to step up to a pro fuel bike? There's a possibility. There's a lot of talk about it, but again, it takes money, it takes time, and
Yeah.
uh, top fuel. I don't know that I'm ready for that or will get ready for that, but I'm definitely excited to try and, learn more and do more seat time so I can get better at what I'm doing. And, it's, I just love it. It's like I could go to a gym and punch a punching bag, but instead I go to the racetrack and I run down the track in like 10 seconds at 100 miles an hour.
What's
And it
What's
gives me the same
what's the
relief.
speed? What is the
I've done
speed?
like 105 on my Sportster in like 10.5 seconds. So,
Wow.
and that's pretty fun. It's people go, how do you go so fast? Well, I'm little, you know, I weigh like 150 pounds. So you weigh like
Yeah.
two something. So, you're 100 pounds heavier. So I'm going to be able to get down the track a little quicker than you are, and carbureted bikes don't do well with weight. They're better with light people and, you know, they don't need all that. Whereas the fuel ones, fuel injected, they need weight on them because if you're super light, they will come up off the ground with you. I mean, my street glide does it all the time. When I grip it and rip it riding through town or taking off on the interstate, that front tire comes off the ground. I go, no, 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 no. We're staying on the ground. We're not doing that. So, you know, but I'm, a lot of people say, oh, you're blessed to be able to do that. And, you could say that. I'm just so grateful and very fortunate, for the things that have come to me and it's just an amazing experience all around, and the respect people give you because you're out there trying. Even the riding that I do outside of the drag racing, the respect I get for people, the trips that I do, they're like, man, I can't do that. And I've been riding forever. And I'm like, I zone out. I literally just zone out and go to where I'm going and enjoy the ride. That's really it. So, I mean, who knows what tomorrow will bring, maybe I'll do one of these trips where I ride from North Carolina to California and back.
Do you have a racing schedule now for the year, or what's coming up with the races?
So for the AMRA, they have a set schedule every year, and so the next AMRA race I think is in Ohio. But a lot of the team that I run with, they do a lot of the IHRA and the ADHA, so they do a bunch of different ones. And I just try and go to the ones that I can afford to take off of work and be there, So, but we do have there's like 6 races we do a year. Starts off in Belrose, Louisiana, goes to Hebron, Ohio. I think they're doing a race in Illinois this year, Michigan, and then they do one other race, and then in October they end the season for the AMRA at Rockingham here in North Carolina. So I haven't missed that race yet since I've been up here. So I always make that one because that's when everybody's there. But a lot of the people that run the Pro Fuel and the Top Fuel bikes, they bounce between different AMRA and the IHRA stuff. So, you kind of go where they're going to go or where you get invited to go, But as far as like what I do for the Eliminator class, I have 6 races a year, and sometimes it's easy to make them all, and sometimes it just doesn't, you make 3 or 4 out of 6, Sometimes it's 1 out of 6.
Right?
Yeah, sponsorship helps. Our race team does have a couple small sponsors. One's a motorcycle shop called Cottonmouth Customs. They have a shop in Atlanta and a shop in Pensacola, Florida. And then we have a couple other little sponsors, A1 Cycles, Burnout Cycles. Some places in Georgia, small motorcycle shops have put money in to help the team get to where we need to go. And so we're always looking for sponsors. I mean, it's not like, hey, we need $1 million to go drag racing. It's like, hey, $500 goes a long way for us. That's half of what it costs sometimes just for the weekend, just for one of us. Fuel, when you got the travel expense to get there, you've got the fuel to race. If you break any parts, parts to have there, tires, food while you're there, water while you're there. Most of the time we're sleeping in our trailers, couple of people have, little nice toy haulers. But like me, I have just a small enclosed trailer. So I take my blow-up mattress, fill it up with air, and at night I close it up and go to sleep. Nothing fancy, But then we have other people that have the big toy haulers or the big motorhomes, and they're able to do that, So, and then with there's tracks we go to that they don't have showers. The bathrooms are porta-johns. So, you got to brace yourself for things like that because it's not the NHRA. We don't have the big fancy stuff to go and stay at and be at and all, and those big sponsors. Would it be nice? Yeah, absolutely. But, right now we're just small town people doing what we love, racing and having fun.
That.
Yeah, it's great. And I love when my friends or, people can come out and watch it and see it for the first time. A lot of people have never really seen motorcycles drag race in person. They've seen it on TV, but it's different when you're there and you hear it and you can smell it and
see it in person. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's great. I mean, I truly do love the weekends that I get to go drag racing. It's just an amazing experience altogether.
So you have a track that's close to you now?
Yeah, so up here in North Carolina, there's like 4 or 5 small tracks, and then there's like the Z Max by Charlotte Motor Speedway. Um,
Nice.
Next weekend, they're having a race put on at Shady Side, which is in Shelby, North Carolina. And then they have the Mooresville drag strip. They have test and tune every Thursdays. And then there's a couple other little tracks that you can go to. A lot of them just do test and tune, and it's like $20 to come in. You get to go down the track as many times as you want, and that's kind of
That,
it. And it's nice. It
yeah.
gives you time to practice per se, or get some seat time on your bike, get more familiar with it. I've been a few times
Uh-huh.
watching people, seeing who's out there, what they're running. There's a lot of sport bikes that are out there running, so, it's not very many Harleys you get to see that are out there drag racing, but a couple of the guys, that I know, I've run into them there, and they're all like, "Oh, come on, let's go." I'm like, all right. But it's, it's fun. It's just like a Friday night out. Instead of having a street to run up and down like Street Outlaws, you got a drag strip. You
Uh-huh.
pay $20 and they turn the lights on and everything. So it's great. A
Nice.
lot of people turn out for them. There's cars, there's bikes, there's everything. So it's not just the motorcycles racing. And it's cool.
Right.
Sometimes you get to see some really neat cars going, and sometimes you get to see people blow up a motor. You get to sit back and laugh and go, dummy, or cool. You know, I'm
So
usually going,
that
dummy.
one's so let's talk about you're working at a Harley dealer now, yeah?
Yep. Yeah. I'm a service advisor at Independence Harley in Charlotte. Um, I've been a service advisor now for like 10 years, but it's my first time working at a Harley dealership. So it's like a dream come true. Like all you ever want to do when you ride a Harley is maybe one day work at a Harley shop. And so I get to do it. I get to go to work every day, someplace that I've always wanted to be, and excited to
Yeah.
go there. I mean, there's some days that, I want to like knock people out, but other days it's fun. We've got a lot of great events that go on there, and I get to see new things and help people get their bikes running. Um, Best experience for me is, when somebody's dad passes away and they leave them a motorcycle and it hasn't ran in, 5, 6 years, getting that bike running for them and seeing that expression on their face. It's better than any paycheck that's out there.
Yeah.
It makes your soul feel good. And that's why I love doing what I do. And, you know, do I wish I could turn wrenches on motorcycles? Sometimes, but I think my days of turning wrenches are behind me now. And I love being able to help people come up with ideas on how to do the things they want to do for their bikes, and tell them the right way to do it, and use the parts that are there and available to them versus, oh, I'm just going to go buy this crap off of Amazon and we're going to see if we can get that to fit. No,
Yeah.
it doesn't work like that. And there's a lot of old school bikes that come through sometimes, and I just love looking at them because I love me an old school bike versus the newer ones are so computerized that sometimes I just want to kick them over, and I'm always acting like I'm
Yeah.
a turn over a lift or something because they got stupid computer problems. It's like,
Uh,
I get frustrated, like, this stupid bike. But that's part of it. You're moving
it's changed a
forward
lot.
in
Yeah.
innovations, and that's where it's headed. Everything's going to be ran by a computer one day, but it's fun. I love it. I come in and I mess with people all day. When guys come in, they're on a Sportster. I'm like, "Oh, that's cute." And they go, "Oh yeah, what are you riding?" I go, I ride a street glide special, and they go, eh. One guy said I was picking on him, and so he traded in his Sportster S for a street glide because I was picking on him. And I was. I said, "Oh, did your wife let you ride her bike today? Is that why you're here on it?" And he was like, "That's messed up." And I was like, I mean, you're a big dude on a little bike. You look weird, you know. Looks like Donkey Kong on a bicycle, you know. Like, what the hell? You know, and then
I
people
love that. That's
always
fun.
ask me, like, "Oh, how much do you ride?" And I'm like, "Oh, I don't know. Like, my bike's 6 years old and it has 66,000 miles on it." And they go, "Oh, you ride. Yeah, yeah." I just rode to Texas and back in a weekend. So that was over 1,000 miles. And people are like, "Holy crap. Doesn't your butt hurt?" And I go, not anymore. I mean, for a little bit it was a little numb, but yeah, it's
It went
good
away.
now. But it's fun you got to have a fun at your job, no matter what it is. You got to love what you do. And, it's easy to make money when you love what you do and you're having a good time. When you're not happy and you're miserable and you just hate showing up every day, it makes it harder and harder. For me, I try to have fun. I try to cut up and, enjoy it because I'm
Mhm.
grateful and I'm fortunate. And, if you'd have met me 30 years ago, you'd have been like, this chick needs some help. And now my life's in a different direction than it was. And so I'm always grateful for every day I get. And being at Harley is just an amazing experience. And the people I get to meet and everything about it, it's just great. I couldn't be happier.
It's you're like making dreams come true for people. That's, when they come
Yeah.
in and making changes on bikes or buying their first bike or buying their fifth bike. Like, when I was working at Harley, it's you're making their dreams come true, and that, like you said, it just fills your soul.
Oh yeah, and I love when females come in and they're like, "Oh, I can't pick up one of those big bikes," or "I'm too little to ride that big bike." And I go, "Come here, come sit on mine. I've got mine lowered, See how you like that?" And they're like, "Oh, this is nice." And I've even had guys sit on my bike when they talk about they want their feet flat on the ground. I say, "I lowered mine in the back. I didn't lower the whole thing, just the back end of it." And they go, "What?" And then they start asking me questions and I tell them like, I put 66,000 miles on this bike with that lowering kit on it, and never had a problem. I mean, it's great to be able to ride a big bike and have your feet on the ground and not have to struggle. My biggest struggle is backing it up. Like I want to install a reverse, because I hate pushing it back because it's so heavy. But, other than that, I ride it like I stole it. I don't know how else to explain it. It's my comfort, it's my joy, it makes my soul
Mhm.
feel good. And when I get to help people get that same experience, it just brings on a whole new thing for me. It's great. It's great to watch somebody come in and then when you get their bike done, have them sit on it. We built a bike and this guy came in and they cranked it up. And I mean, he looked like a fat kid with a chocolate cake in a closet. All you saw was teeth. He was just so ecstatic. When that kind of stuff just makes you, go, I helped do that. It gives you a little bit of pride without being all like, ha ha ha. I just go, cool. He's happy. And I love that. I love that for people. You want them to be happy and you want them to be comfortable and you want them to feel safe and all that stuff. And it just brings me joy doing it. My experience helps giving people pointers on different things I've learned over the years. I tell people all the time, I got heated grips, but it sucks when it's 30 degrees outside because no matter what you have on, nothing's going to keep your little fingertip from freezing. But in a rainstorm and you turn them heated grips on, that water's not so cold anymore. It's different things we've learned over the years, different experiences we've had, things we've tried, things that work good, things that don't work good, you know. And I always try to ask people, like, what's your end game with the bike? Like, do you want to do all this fancy stuff and lights and all this stuff and pull up at bike shows and park it, or are you going to ride this thing, you know? And that's the biggest thing is you have to have a conversation with people and find out what it is they like, why are they riding, what type of riding are they going to do. That way you can help them have the bike that's going to fit what their plan is.
Good. That's good stuff. So when you just talked about 30 years ago, right, and how things changed, you want to share anything about that? How you've grown over the years, or something you want to
Well, like
share?
for me, you know, I struggled at a young age with drug addiction and alcoholism, and I got clean, I got sober, you know, and I relapsed, you know, went back to drinking, stayed off of the pills though, you know, I've never gone back to being a pill addict like I was. Everybody has demons inside them, and you know, depression is a hard thing to deal with. And so every day for me, I think, is a fight and it's a battle, you know, because I'm rougher on myself than I am on others. And you know, I would have never thought that 30 years ago I'd get clean, and I did. And I never thought that this many years later I was still clean, you know. I went from sleeping in my car, you know, and couch surfing to, you know, working for Harley, and I ran my own business before. I was an insurance agent. I've graduated from college. I hold a couple of degrees, you know, just it's amazing how sometimes if you just don't ever give up, you know, you got to
Yeah.
keep going. Life's hard, you know. It sucks being a grown up. It really does. But unfortunately, because of Father Time, we all have to grow up sometime. I mean, we can still be a Toys R Us kid, but you know, you still got, like I say, sponsibilities, you know. But the biggest thing for me, I guess, that really was a huge impact in my life was, you know, in 2017, I was in a really bad motorcycle accident. Um, and they said I'd never walk again. That really took a long time to overcome. Just the being able to walk, the things, the challenges that came with having a concussion, um, memories that are gone. You know, I know things happened. I have pictures, so I know it happened, but I don't have the actual memory of it. So that's been a struggle. And just the pain and the challenges, vision problems, you know, nerve pain. In my accident, the bike flipped end over end, throwing me about 1,500 feet, they said. Fractured my spine in 3 places, busted up a couple of my teeth. I still have a scar on my face that will never heal. Sometimes it does look like it's healed, and then I'll wear my full face helmet and pull it on and off and on and off so many times that it rubs it, and then it turns into an open scar. So, you know, it's 8 years later, you know, I have that to remind me. And it's been a long battle. It's been very trying at times, you know. There's still days I wake up and I can't feel my legs, you know, because it's taken my nerves longer to get the circulation down there to get them working. It's not as often as it used to be, which I'm grateful for. But, you know, there's times when my hand goes numb, or you know, my leg, if I sit too long, my legs will go numb. And, you know, it's scary to think that one day I could slip and fall and I could never walk again, you know. So I don't take it lightly. And that's why I'm grateful for all the opportunities that I've been given. You know, it's
Yeah.
every day I get on that bike, you know, I'm super cautious. And there's some days where, you know, I struggle. You know, I've had close personal friends of mine not make it from motorcycle accidents. Had a female drag racer recently pass away from an accident on the drag bike, and that one really hit home. There were a couple days where I was, terrified to get on my own bike just to ride to work and back. And, so life has many turns and it has many speed bumps and hurdles, and you just got to figure out the best way for you to get through it, because what worked good for me may not work good for you or someone else. And that's been my biggest thing with my kid is you got to just keep going, because, giving up is not the answer, and life does suck, and it doesn't get easier the older you get, and your body's going to hurt. You're going to have problems. I mean, you get older, your butt's going to sag, your boobs are going to sag, you're going to have wrinkles, gray hair, your hair's probably going to fall out. You might lose some teeth, who knows? That's just part of getting better with life and having experiences along the way. And you just got to wake up each day, do the best you can, and live it to the fullest, because, I'm really lucky that I survived that accident. And, the doctors told me that if I wouldn't have had my helmet on, I probably wouldn't have made it. So, but it's just one of the many things in my 54 years of life that, unfortunate things have happened, and the way I chalk it up is it's life. You can't stop bad things from happening, you can hope, you can pray, you can go burn sage, whatever it is that is going to make you feel safer. But sometimes some things are just inevitable and you can't prevent them, If I had a crystal ball to see the future, I don't know if I'd change anything, because that's one big thing I say about my life is I absolutely have no regrets, Have I made bad choices and made mistakes, spent money on stuff I shouldn't have? Absolutely. But you know what? I've enjoyed every day that I've had. I've enjoyed every experience I've ever gotten. And I'm grateful for the people in my life and, the people that have been supportive along my crazy road of life. And, that's the best I can ever say to anybody is do it now, because one day you're not going to be able to, I mean, if you got $20 in your wallet and you want to go see that band play, go see that band play, go walk the beach, if it's raining and you want to go dance in the street in the rain, do it, live it, because sitting around not doing anything and not living is not a way to be, you gotta find your own happiness. And dumb stuff like jumping naked in a lake after eating some edible cookies, uh, those kind of little experiences, you know what I'm talking about, are great, because it's the smile, it's the joy, it's the making your soul happy. It's those things that are important, A paycheck will come, friends will come, love will come, all that stuff will come and go. But making your soul happy, there's nothing like it, I mean, there's no drug, there's no alcohol, there's no sex, there's nothing that will ever beat the way your soul makes you feel complete when it's just happy, and that's, I love dumb things like taking my dog to the dog park, makes my little grouchy ass soul happy, that's what it's about, You can't dwell on or live in the past or sit there and hold regrets or grudges against people, You're not in high school, you're not a little kid, you're grown up. We all make mistakes, nobody's perfect. And that's the point of having a good support system around you is friends will always be the first one to tell you what a dumbass you are, but yet sit there and laugh with you about it, because that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to lift people up when they do dumb shit, You're supposed to tell them, yeah, that was the dumbest thing I think I've seen you do. but we had so much fun, you know. And that's what it's about. You gotta just make your soul happy and move on, and don't have regrets about something you did 6 months ago or a year ago or 20 years ago. We all do stupid stuff and we all make bad choices. I tell people all the time, go out, make bad choices and enjoy your day, because you know if all you do is walk a straight line, you're not going to be real happy in life. You got to take a chance, sneak in that concert, go around the corner and watch some bullshit, just enjoy it. You never know when an opportunity is going to just come your way and you're just right there at the right place, the right time. I mean, hell, at work, Hal Petty comes in and I'm like, holy crap. And he'll sit there and have a full conversation with me about riding motorcycles and stuff. I mean, it's things like that.
Nice.
I'm not over there going, hey, can I have your autograph? I'm over there listening to what he's saying and just being grateful for that one moment, that 10 minutes of his time, and that's the way I look at everything in my life. Like people I meet, you never know who they really are. And if you just take the time to enjoy that moment, your life will be so much better, I mean, I've worked at some of the shittiest places you could think of. I mean, I was a stripper, I mean, you name it. But I've experienced it. I've learned from it. I've lived it. I've been grateful for every little experience of it, and I'm glad I didn't go the opposite way 30 years ago when I was struggling. I'm glad I figured out a way that worked for me and I got clean and, got sober and kept fighting, and didn't give up. And I know there's a lot of people out there that do, and it's unfortunate, but, you never know what's really behind somebody if you don't take the time to get to know them,
Right.
So
Everyone's got a story, something going on. Yeah, you never know. I always tell my
oh
kids
yeah.
that too. If you're somewhere, the store or wherever, someone just doesn't seem super nice or whatever, like give them some grace. Like you just don't know what's happening in their world right now. Like who are we to judge or even if they're being rude, like it's hard sometimes or irritating. You want to snap back, but when we can take a step back and just, they gotta be going through something too, right? There's a reason that they're,
Yeah,
so
everybody's
they
going through
will,
something. Nobody's living a joyful, blessed, full life. Even the greatest people out there, the richest people, they've got their own struggles. So, I always say, you treat people the way you want to be treated, and always say hello and thank you, because just doing that might make somebody's day, and it's every time I go somewhere, I tell people good morning or how are you, or hello. And even when people walk up to me and hand me religious brochures, they do their spiel, I just say thank you and go on about my way, because,
yeah,
just because I'm not religious doesn't mean I need to be ugly to them or rude to them, You just go on about your way, It's like watching the news. I don't watch the news because it's not pertaining to this little bubble right around me. So I really don't care. I'm sorry other people are going through things, and that's the world. We've put everything out there and opened up doors when years ago everything was closed and behind doors and you didn't hear about things. And so, you know, our biggest struggle as humans is that mentally we beat up on ourselves, our friends, our family, because we're afraid to show that we're weak and have a heart. I tell people all the time, I have no feelings. Like I zip, zero, zilch, you know. And then they see me cry one time and they go, what the hell? And I go, shut your face. But it's that one little weakness that you have could help someone else with a struggle they're having. You never know. You really never know. And so I'm grateful that over my years of therapy and everything else I've had to go through with depression and being an addict, I've been able to just give my own experience and tell people that you have to find what works best for you, because in the end, you're the only one that really knows what you're dealing with, and you're the only one that really knows how you're processing it. And we all process things differently. If we were all the same, we'd be robots, and we're not. That's why we all don't look alike. That's why we all don't talk alike. That's why we all don't dress alike, because we're all different, and so you just find what works best for you, what makes you feel good, and move on with it, keep going. I mean, we're not all going to win the lottery, right? But being rich is not about money. It's about experiences.
You gotta play to get the game.
Yeah, you got to play to win. And I'm sorry, I need that $1 to buy my next Sprite. You know what I'm saying? But, life happens and you got to enjoy it. I mean, I don't have anything bad to say about any part of my life. Struggles as a child, teenager, single mom, anything. I mean, it's just, I've figured out a way to get through it and make things work for me and, just keep on. I mean, there's days where I don't want to smile and I want to punch people in their face. And, I always tell people all the time, like, I've got a lot of pent up aggression inside this little body, and they'll say, "You're so angry." And I go, "Yeah, because I'm little." I can't help it. But, I find the little things that make me happy, and that's really all that matters. You don't want to know what he was just pointing at. So
Oh,
he
yeah,
was
yeah,
pointing in between his legs.
yeah.
He's like this.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, great sex does help.
Uh-huh. Well, I appreciate you coming on here, and I do, and it's great stuff. I love you. You're amazing, and it's true. The shit we go through and everything that happens and comes our way, and we can't give up. We gotta roll with it, And sooner or later it comes around, and it's we have that the daily choice, right? With the struggles, and sometimes it's not easy. I mean, I've gone through it too, the depression and all that shit, and sometimes we got to kick our own ass. When we got a girlfriend who will kick our ass and say, "Get the fuck up," you're gonna be okay. Give you the hug or whatever it is, and find that thing to be grateful for, that person or that energy, right? And dive into that and keep on keeping on.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's why we ride motorcycles too, so we can feel that power in between our legs and get some release and let the wind flow through our hair and, feel like the dog sticking his head out the window of the truck, riding down the road. Yeah, just living it up. And I'm grateful for you and I love you and I think you're an amazing person and, we've had a lot of fun over the years and I look forward to many more laughs and cutting up and hopefully riding together soon.
Yeah. So my camera's a little blurry, but so we have to see your hat and your shirt.
My hat says, "Show me that butthole." And my shirt says,
there you go. I like it.
"I'm not shy, but I just don't fucking like you." I was going to wear my sunglasses that say, "Go fuck yourself," but it's like, you can't pull out all your tricks right now, You know me, I like
get
to
a pair of those glasses.
Yeah, mine are round, so if I come across another pair, I'll send them to you.
All right, honey. Well, thank you so much. And we definitely will do this again soon. And so I'm going to post some of the pictures, Jocelyn, on some of her bikes, right, on social media. And then if we can get like a schedule maybe, and even I'll get a link from you or something, say if somebody wants to sponsor
yeah,
your racing.
absolutely.
Right? maybe we'll put something there. So that'll be cool.
Yeah.
All right, honey.
Sounds
Thank you
good.
so much. I love it. And,
Love you too. Oh, and don't forget my tattoo. Shut the fuck up.
Oh, yeah.
I love you.
Stay tuned for more episodes of A Woman's Journey on Two Wheels.